What a long story, I'll tell you. And it's only because I feel like people don't really know where I'm coming from. Like, some people know me and they know exactly where I'm coming from, but the ones that don't, I figure it's time to clue you in. I have not lived a normal life. I left home when I was 17 to go to a rainbow gathering, and it changed everything. I started traveling the country. I started focusing on indulging my curiosity and wanderlust, but I had definitely caught the Rambler's curse, as so many of us do. And eventually, I sought indulging my curiosity, and I sought new experiences, and what I wound up getting was perspective. So I started focusing more on dedicating part of my life to public service, essentially. Like, I'd go to rainbow gatherings, and I would work, and then eventually I worked for Rainbow when I wasn't at Rainbow for sometimes very little payment, no payment, because I believed in this dream. And while I'm very, very proud of that, and it has definitely benefited me in a lot of ways, it hasn't benefited me with the type of security that I need for my children. And that's a big deal to me. And also, I've kind of seen a lot of things, and I've had so many new experiences and so many new perspectives that now what I value most is doing this thing that I've never done before. I want to explore my own talent and creativity. I want to explore inside instead of outside. I want to know what I'm capable of and what I can do artistically. It's emotionally rewarding to me at this time, especially to go bigger and better. I'm making so many different kinds of things that I never thought to make, and it's fun, and it's cool to be able to spend time with my kids and to be at home for once. But I'm not good at this. I don't know how to live indoors. Like, I have skateboard face. All of my teeth, even in the back, are broken. I've skated into so many walls and the ground so many times. Blunt force trauma is mostly how I lost my teeth. But people are judgmental of you when you don't have teeth. They're just gonna be like, "Where are your teeth?" Well, a couple of them are in California, a couple of them are in Washington. One got knocked out while wrestling around, play fighting a friend of mine, like, just, oh no. So, like, yeah. Okay, it was 4 or 5 people, but still, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't judge people. Like, I'm doing everything I can. I have a hard time with navigating certain things, and it gets frustrating when things don't work for me, and I get very amped up. So I have to do things in a way that avoids me getting overwhelmed. And I will do them. I will still try. But I'll do it in a different way than a lot of people would, because I know that, oh yeah, I'm sensitive. I'm like a fainting goat. If I get too upset, I just kind of drop. And I have PNES. It's a non-epileptic seizure thing. But anyway, like, I've got a lot of struggles, and I've got a lot of things to work on. And a lot of my friends that are doing amazing things right now do too. And I don't think they're getting the credit they deserve. And I don't think a lot of people just really feel like when they talk to us online and we're like, "Oh yeah, I can't do that." They don't realize that, yeah, I would really like to do that, but that doesn't apply. Do you have any advice for people that this doesn't apply for? I tried to do a webinar, but she said to stick to one thing, and I was like, "You want me to cut off one of my spiritual limbs? I need multiple outlets to charge this thing, like this art thing that's going on. I need multiple outlets." And it would get very boring for me to work with one thing or one style. So I'm going to continue to make all the things, because, the lady at the gallery, she was like, yeah, that woman who says to focus on one thing doesn't know what you're doing, and you should definitely do all of the things. Thank you for not taking that advice. And I was like, all right, cool. And when I share on social media how well I'm doing, I am by no means bragging. I don't ever want to brag because there are people in very low points. However, there's so many people that I was candid with during my lowest points, and it's imperative to me to share my highs too, to show that it's a full spectrum. You can experience good along with the bad, and you can have a mental illness and not be able to get a job, and you still can overcome so many hurdles. I didn't have a bank account. I've never had a bank account in my life. I had to wait until technology caught up with me to where a prepaid credit card, a prepaid card, not a credit, obviously, debit card, like a MasterCard or a Visa, you can use that to open an online store. Because there's no way I can afford to pay the fees to become a legal vendor anywhere. So I can legally vend online. That's it. I can use Etsy to sell my crafts, and that's what I'm working with. I can use PayPal in certain instances, but some areas want you to have your own vendor's permit, and I can't afford that. That is a luxury, and a lot of people are like, oh, just get the permit. I can't. That's not accessible to me. When people are like, oh, you need to do more events. That's a $50 sign-up fee and a table that I don't have. I don't even have a table. Like, what? I don't have a vehicle. So I'm relying on my mom or one of my friends for a ride. And I'm sure one of my friends would be down if they could get the time off work. But I've only been back since July, and I've been throwing myself into my work and my kids. So I really don't have the social circle necessary to just call somebody up and be like, hey, you want to go here? It's like a handful of people, and they're pretty busy bees. They all have stuff that they're working on, and some of them have vehicular issues too, so there's that to worry about, but whatever. I'm in an area where it's like 16 miles to the things that I want to go to, so I'm not walking, especially with all my stuff in the heat and like carrying it in a backpack. It'd get damaged. There's no way I could take a table with me. There's no way. But I'm doing all I can. And the fact that there was a time when I looked up and I said, I can't do this. And then I did it anyway. And I'm still finding ways around my own limitations. Like, oh, I can't do this. Why? Well, I can't do it because X. Okay, so if I go this way instead, then I can go around that hurdle and I can find a path of my own. But so many people are trying to tell me to take their path, and they don't realize that I don't see it. That's not where I am on the map. I started in a totally different place with entirely different resources and opportunities. My resource is literally myself. Like, I have been a decent human being to most of the people that I've encountered. And I've been a not decent people whenever I think it was decent to, like, act on calling people out for indecency. But I've stood up against adversity and injustice. But I've also made a lot of good friends. And that's the only reason that I'm still afloat, is because they share my posts. They want my art. And my people are very supportive. I've been networking for 18 years and I didn't know what for. And now it's finally, like, it's cool that I found my own type of privilege within the lack of privilege. Like, I didn't have security. I didn't have roots anywhere. But it's okay because I've got roots everywhere. And now I can come back here and... But, yeah, my story is crazy. Like, there are so many details of this story where I have been unsafe, like, truly scared for my life or threatened physically. I've lived, And I don't want to focus on the trauma of any of the things that have happened to me, but I've lived through some things that nobody should have to, and too many times to count. And I just feel like I should have the stripes, and people should see those stripes and see that is a veteran, that is a warrior, that is a survivor. She doesn't take shit anymore. She's doing her thing in spite of what the world has done to her, and that's amazing. And I think that there are a lot of us that are survivors that when we talk about our trauma in a low-key way, we just want people to know that, like, yeah, I did 2 tours, you know, and it's not in a battlefield. I didn't go to another country. I wasn't with the military, but I did like 16 tours of this country as one of the lowest rung of the social ladder, and I got treated poorly by a lot of people, and I got treated well by a lot of people, and that's what made it worth it. The fact that the people that did treat me well are still around, part of my life, even if it's just in an online way, so that when I do lack a support circle here in my actual life, because I keep moving and now I'm here and I'm stuck here. I'm not stuck, I'm tethered, I'm anchored now, and it's for the first time in my life I've ever had an anchor. I've been floating around forever, but I'm doing my best, man, my best. And there might be days when I'm not doing my best to other people, but what I'm really doing is recharging. And like, oh, I haven't done any work in a week. Yes, you have. You've shared your links. You've become who you're gonna be to make that next piece, because the experiences you have in life become the colors that you paint with. It becomes the spice of your art. So if I wasn't this person, I would not make the things that I make. It would be different. I've converted my own pain, mental illness, worry, instability into items that make me feel invulnerable. To items that make me feel powerful. To items that make me feel like untouchable. Whenever I get angry or hurt now, I buy a gun and I paint it. And that's what I do, is just paint these little squirt guns. That one's so freaking cool, isn't it? Yeah. This isn't a commercial, I swear. It's just that's what I'm doing now, is I'm turning my process into my process. And I'm just kind of actualizing it physically. And converting when I don't feel beautiful, because I know that the world looks at me a certain way because of my teeth, then I make something that's every bit as elegant and beautiful that I'm not. And I convert that emotion into something that the world can live with. And because I'm encapsulating that empowerment within the item, I hope, and my therapist would call this psychosis, but I would hope that it would conjure that empowerment for the wearer. Everything that I felt while I was making it, like, this is every bit of beautiful that you need to be, that you're not in that moment. Maybe you could wear it on your head as a hat, just like as part of the outfit, but whatever it is, you know, like, self-actualize those facets of your fictional characterhood to your personal characterhood. It could take a while, but I'm sure that I am a level 36 sorceress. I've played so much D&D, and I have internalized a lot of metaphor. So now these metaphors, and I'm not crazy enough to think they're more than metaphors, but the metaphors are on point, and they help me steer my life and let me know when to roll the dice and why. I love you all, and I don't think that any of us have had an easy go of it. And I think if you have an easy go of it, that in itself is traumatic, because you feel unchiseled, unfinished, and it hurts to know that people don't think that you could be as deep because you haven't had all these terrible experiences, but the lack of terrible experiences distracting you have given you a lot of time to think, maybe, and maybe you haven't thought about the same things that other people do, but that doesn't discredit you. Like, you're valid too. Like, it doesn't matter how much trauma you've lived through, but I don't think anybody has an easy go of it. I don't think anybody comes out of life unscarred. They're doing tree trimming down the street. I hear the chainsaw, definitely, but when people think about their situation and they try to apply it to somebody else's situation, a lot of times they don't realize how different those situations are, to where the advice that they are giving is not applicable in this other person's life at this time. It's just not. There are so many steps to get to the point where I can do that. People are like, oh, take out a loan. Do you have any idea how big into debt I am just from going to the hospital? I'm never going to own a house. I don't even know how to drive, so I don't have to worry about never owning a car. But I'm never going to own anything unless I hit it real big, which, you know, I prefer to think of things in terms of modesty, and success is not defined to me in certain ways, but that type of success would have to find me if I were to ever be able to afford to own a home. That's just how it is. I have mountains of debt. I tried to go to college once. That didn't work. I didn't have a ride. I lost my place to live while I was trying to attend school, so I lost a lot of seat time. I lost my books. They got rained out in a tent, and there just was no way I could continue. And I felt like the cards were really stacked against me. But then one time I was in Seattle and I met this lady, and she was like, if you don't like the hand you're dealt, stack the fucking deck. And I was like, that's some wisdom right there. So lately I've been stacking the deck. It's like, oh, I don't have this card in my deck. Well, from playing Magic, I learned that sometimes you can combine the effects of two cards to get the effect of this card over here. So if you don't have that card, it's fine. You still have that move in your hand. You have that technique. You have that tactic. You just have to do it differently, and you have to wait until both cards are in your hand to do it. But, yeah. Nerds unite! You know how hard it is to carry a bunch of Magic cards in your backpack? I have 4 D&D books that I traveled with. Books are freaking heavy. I didn't have any potions. I didn't have any armor. I had books about a game that helped me come to terms with certain things in my life, I guess. Which is good, but yeah. Alright, I love you guys. You're all wonderful. I know that a lot of the people that are going to watch this aren't the ones who are questioning anybody else's route, but, you know, whatever. My audience is already pretty lit. They're there. I'm lucky. I think that you guys are worth millions of basic followers. You know what I mean? Like, people who aren't on that level, I would rather have one of you than 25 of them, and that's real. You guys get it. You guys get it, and that's beautiful. But yeah, my neighbors are moving around. I don't know if they're about to start up the chainsaw again or not. But yeah, I love you guys.